afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. It's well documented that a major demographic shift is taking place in our country, and particularly here in Vermont. Fueled by the baby boomer generation, our population is aging. It's a shift that will affect programs such as Social Security and Medicare. It will also impact our workforce. A labor pool of mature workers presents both challenges and opportunities. Mature workers are defined as those age 55 and over. So today we're going to learn about an effort by the state of Vermont to recognize and honor businesses that provide policies and practices that support mature workers. It's called the Governor's Award for Business Excellence in supporting mature workers. To find out more, I'm joined by two guests. Greg Voorhees is the Mature Worker Program Coordinator at the Vermont Department of Disabilities, Aging and Independent Living. And Tom Torty is the president of the Lake Champlain Chamber of Commerce. Thanks so much for both of you for coming in. Greg, what is the Governor's Award for Business Excellence in supporting mature workers?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Judy. Thank you for having us. This award is really an attempt by the Governor's Commission on Successful Aging to identify the best practices and policies and programs that our businesses are implementing to support the mature worker. It's an award that's supported by and sponsored by the Agency of Commerce and Community Development and the Vermont Department of Labor in partnership with the Commission.
So what are the criteria?
The criteria there are four major categories. I'll try to briefly describe them in the application eventually. Once seen, it will have far more detail. But the four areas are recruitment and retention, retirement planning, skill development, and flexible hours and accommodation. So you can imagine what each one of them might do. But let's do skill acquisition. Does the employer have training programs that help retrain the existing workforce? Does the workforce have an opportunity to try out new areas? Flexibility and accommodation. Is it possible to work part-time? Are there flexible hours during the day that I could work? Is there seasonality? A number of those things. And of course, recruitment and retention are obvious, but the retirement is interesting as well, because we're looking to see if employers have, number one, a pension program.
Right.
If so, what is it? Do they have a 401k system? And how do they take that next step in helping people plan for retirement? Do they have phased retirements? So in a lot of ways, this is also a discovery process to see what is actually occurring.
And so what's the timeline for the awards program and how can somebody apply?
Well, the timeline is this. We anticipate that the application will be available by electronically and by hard copy by the end of January of 2016. It'll be distributed by the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. We expect applications will be submitted by the end of March of 2016. During the next 2 months, April and May, a team will review them, and then the governor will make the award or awards in June of 2016.
Well, Tom, as president of the Lake Champlain Chamber, what are some of the workforce challenges that you hear about from your members? You
know, it's interesting. Whether or not I attend the workforce collaborative meeting, our board meeting, meet with individual employers, regardless of the sector, I'm hearing the same challenges across the board. They can't find enough skilled workers to fill either entry positions, kind of middle-level positions, community service positions, part-time positions. As we know, Vermont is seeing an attrition of young people leaving the state, and we're seeing a growing number of mature workers, and I count myself among those these days, mature workers who are staying here and entering the workforce. So the problem is whether or not it's a front desk receptionist or someone available to do coding, someone available to do data entry, it really doesn't matter. Workers across the spectrum or employers across the spectrum are having a hard time finding workers to fill the available slots that they have.
Judy, one thing I think that when Tom and I have talked about, at least and the Commission has talked about, is looking at the mature worker as a strategy and a larger economic development strategy. I think that to emphasize your introductory comments about the demographic context we're talking about, nationally, every day, boomers turn 10,000 boomers turned 65. That got my attention right away. In Vermont, in 2000, the percent of population that was 65 or older was the 26th in the country. And 2020, we were number 11, and 2030 will be number 8. Wow. You can see the trend.
Right.
We're the second oldest state in the country next to Maine, and in 2030, our average age will be about 44.
But do people think about retiring at 65 these days anymore?
Very, very few people.
I have 2 children in college education. No one in my home is going to be retiring at 65.
We were comparing notes before, and I think retirement means something very different today than it did for my dad's generation. When you retired at 62 or 65, you rode off into the sunset and you enjoyed yourself. I have a number of friends who have, quote, retired, and who are working their second and third careers and second and third jobs. And they're doing it for a couple of reasons. One, I think the economics kind of push people to perhaps supplement their retirement program or their Social Security with a little bit of work. But much, much more importantly, people want to stay active and they want to stay engaged. They find that if they're engaged with other people, especially with people younger than them, it keeps them alive, it keeps them fresh, it keeps them vibrant, and they like that. It challenges their mind, and as people say, you know, you snooze, you lose. If you just sit home and watch TV, you're going to get old very fast. And this baby boomer population that we're talking about, you know, 74 million strong across the country, we came of age in a time where we were the halest and the hardiest, and we didn't believe that we were going to get old, and we never wanted to trust anyone over 30. I guess now it's trust no one over 90. But we don't believe in slowing down, and I think that's all part of it.
What are some of the skills that mature workers can bring to the workforce?
Well, you know, what I hear from folks who have taken the step to hire folks who are a little bit older is that they both bring soft and hard skills. The soft skills that they bring are dedication, they show up on time, they know how to work, they give you 8 hours for 8 hours pay or 4 hours if they're working part-time. They are very, very dedicated, committed people. They bring a lot of hard skills. They are not computer illiterates. Many of them have been working with computers for a long time. You hear that from the senior centers and community libraries. More and more, the number of seniors who are very computer savvy. Now, they may need some training to learn how to use a particular program or to work within a particular company, but they're not afraid of technology. And I think that's one of the great myths that we're trying to dispel.
Right. They also have institutional knowledge. They have a wizened view of life. They've had so many experiences that they can apply and learn from. We're looking at the value of the mentoring richness of the older generation with the younger generation as well.
What are the challenges?
Well, there are a couple. There are a lot. I'll touch on a few, and then Greg can hit on some. One is the flexibility around schedule, because although I just said that most of these folks want to work, they want some flexibility. They want to be able to go to their grandchildren's events and games. They want to be able to take vacations. Some want to be able to leave for the winter and go to Florida or go wherever
I think pretty much most of us would like to be able to have a vacation.
And now that we're supposed to get some snow soon, I think we're all in that boat. But those are challenges that if you have a committed employer, those are challenges certainly that you can work around. I hear from certain employers that they have really seasonal needs, and it's very hard for them to find the seasonal employers they need in the spring, summer, and fall, and they don't need them in the winter. So those types of employers really can take advantage. So it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity for employers who are seasonal. Some do need that extra training, and you have to take time to teach them the particular program. You know, I had just a month or so ago a mature worker in the office for a period of time. She was doing kind of tourism work out in the front, and she was computer savvy. It took about a day to teach her our particular program on data entry and database.
It was unique to what you had.
Unique to what we had. Yeah. And she was a rock star. I mean, she did more database cleanup in 2 months that we were able to do in 2 years. So that's a challenge. Some employers, they don't want to take the time, or they don't see the value in taking the time. And that's one of the things that we're trying to teach and promote, through the Governor's Commission on Successful Aging.
Yeah, another view of this is from the prospective employee's standpoint. I think I must have missed the memo that said I was to save all my life to become a nurse at 65. Point. How do you find resources for retraining if you're not already attached to the labor market and an employer who will support that training? Right. That's a very big challenge. And who do you go to? Who do you talk to about this? What skill sets do they need to be able to reach into my thinking and pull out the skill sets that I have so we can apply them in other domains and other environments? I think those two areas are huge, and we need to do a lot of work policy-wise from a state standpoint in those domains.
And so, Greg, let's get back to the Governor's Award for Business Excellence in Supporting Mature Workers.
Yes.
Will there be awards for various sizes of businesses?
We hope there will be, Judy. It depends on the number and types of applications we have. About 80% of our businesses employ 20 people or fewer in the state. So we certainly want to recognize that small employer, but in large employers too. We hope to make awards in both categories.
So who will present the awards?
The Governor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this going to be an annual awards event?
It will be an annual awards event. The Department of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living has stepped up to the plate and said that it will do the administrative support to make it happen annually.
Now, what's the Lake Champlain Regional Chamber of Commerce doing to support these kinds of initiatives, and who should members contact at the Chamber if they have any questions?
Okay. The Chamber is very actively involved in the workforce, the Governor's Commission on Successful Aging, and on this workforce subcommittee. We house the Lake Champlain Regional Workforce Collaborative, where we bring together employers, large and small employers, with training providers. So the employers discuss what their needs are, the training providers kind of understand what training programs need to put together, and we do a lot of mixing and matching. It's almost like a speed dating. So it's a very, very effective way for employers to discuss a pressing need and get some immediate work. We work closely with folks at the state level and with private providers, whether it's in the technology sector or in the more traditional sector, to help do training and retraining. So that group, that Workforce Collaborative, is very, very busy. The person at the Chamber is Carrie Kelly. She's our Director of Workforce Development, and Carrie is the one that you would reach out to, and I know the state has someone as well.
Right. I'm the person that people can reach out to.
Is there a particular phone number or website?
Yes, there's a phone number, Greg Voorhees, at 802-279-8770, or greg.voorhees@vermont.gov. And I can answer a lot of questions. Let me just jump in one other unique thing, and I've just been starting these conversations. Picture a 70-year-old needing retooling. Picture a 70-year-old from Thailand needing retooling and having no Social Security as a fallback. What do they do? How do we culturally understand their needs, and how do we design programs that will meet their needs? And certainly the Burlington area is facing these challenges.
That's interesting. So what have you come up with? Anything yet?
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As are we, because we're seeing there are a couple populations that really are not going anywhere. We talk about the number of youth who are leaving the state, but the new American population that's here, just like my immigrant grandparents who came to America, they made a choice to come here. They're going to be here for a long time, and we need to be working with those populations to build up our workforce. And the mature workers, the ones who are not moving to Florida, they're not going anywhere, and many of them are choosing to come to Vermont to retire. So those are populations that, from a workforce development perspective, we really need to focus on: new Americans and mature workers.
Right, and these folks too have great work ethics, which is something that a lot of younger people haven't developed yet.
Right.
And they also are willing to work hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And are willing to do different shifts.
That's right.
Which sounds like it's a pretty good deal.
That's right. Just tapping into it and celebrating it and getting the dots connected is the challenge.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on today to talk about this. It's great.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.